New version of Cura with a bug fix I was actually waiting for. Let's talk about it. This is a sort of news video kind of format, I guess. Let me know if you think these kind of things are useful. Backstory here, Cura 5.0 or so. I think it was 5.0. This broke Vase Mode. I'll explain what I mean. This is Cura 5.1 and I've loaded in a solid object. If I slice it in normal mode and go and look at the first layer, it looks pretty normal. This is not Vase Mode. The important bit, and this is foreshadowing, is the bottom infill type. That's bottom pattern infill layer and top bottom pattern. Those decide on which infill type to use. And it's set to lines, and it is lines, all good. But if I select Vase Mode, or Spiralize as it's known in Cura, because, you know, cucumbers, once I do that and slice it, you notice the base is actually not lines anymore. It's this circular pattern, which is known as Concentric, and I hate it. You can see here that this is a bug. Actually, there were a couple of bugs raised about this. It kind of got conflated in with some other things, but either way, it was logged as a bug. I think it's probably worth pointing out that I'm not trying to criticize the developers when I'm talking about this bug. By the way, the reason why I'm spending so much of this video talking about it is because when I mentioned it on Twitter, I did find a lot of people did respond that they'd seen the bug and they either didn't understand it wasn't intended functionality or actually found it quite problematic for them when they were printing in Vase Mode. To get the beta, I'll link it below. It's a parallel install, so I mean, I just made that up, but that means you can just install it to a new folder, and it shouldn't, with the heavy emphasis on the word shouldn't, it shouldn't affect your existing Cura, and don't yell at me if it does. This happened when I was installing it, and I've seen this before. This is quite a common problem. It's actually quite annoying because I was using that profile for demonstrating the Vase Mode in this video. The Cura to this problem, whatever. The fix to this problem is to go to Help, Show Configuration folder, and in there go through the subfolders one by one. There's not many of them, and just obliterate anything with the name of the offending printer. The files will have the same name as the printer. Do this while Cura is closed, and that does sort out the problem without deleting all your profiles for the other printers. Okay, changelog time. Of the flagship features, unless you have an Ultimaker printer, let me just check. No, I don't have any Ultimaker printers. Don't worry though, the playing field is level. I don't have any Prusa printers either. More control over initial layer flow is the one that is most interesting for us who have the non-Ultimaker printers. 3 new settings. Yes, I am just going to read this out like an unprepared PowerPoint presentation. I was out drinking last night. 3 new settings. Initial layer outer wall flow. Initial layer inner wall flow. Right, okay. So if I go out of Vase Mode here and I hunt around, it took me quite a while to figure out where the new settings are. They are under material, and for some reason in my profile they're set to 120%. I don't know how that's going to counter elephant's foot. Is it just me, or is that exactly the opposite of what you want? A quick reminder of what elephant's foot is, in case you've forgotten. It's the thing on the end of an elephant's leg. It's also the phenomenon where your print swells at the base due to, well, if you have Settings Guide installed, that's a plugin in Cura. If you don't have it, you need it, go get it. I did make a video on it, you can go look around for my video, but it's basically a plugin. It's actually got a troubleshooting section in it, and if you search for elephant's foot, it will explain everything and also explain nothing. I'm not really sure if we know the actual root cause of elephant's foot. Do we know the root cause of elephant's foot? I've not really thought about it. It's probably just poor Zed Offset, I'm guessing. But I feel like that's at least some of the reason. So let's test it, because why not? Results are on screen now, I guess. Given that I haven't tried it at the point of reading the script, all I can do is just pretend there's something useful here. So this is night and day difference, I'm sure. Yeah, huge difference. You can clearly see that in the future. In terms of other changes in this version, we have something about holes in Vase Mode. I guess this is something about holes in Vase Mode based on the fact that those are the words here. I will look into that. Tree support changes. Tray icon is optional if that bugged you. Nicely, there's now a profile for the Ender 3 S1 among other printers, like I see Anycubic Cobra. I'm sure the Ender 3 S1 profile is welcome, since we've all been using the Ender 3 one and changing retraction. Making the seam more random. This is Z seam, I assume. We have to talk about random Z seams at some point. I don't think making it more random is going to convince me to use it, but flippant remarks aside, I think that's probably all the main things in this release that I want to talk about at this stage. So in summary, there's a new Cura. It's still in beta, although I don't usually have much issues with using beta Curas, but definitely bear that in mind. Vase Mode being fixed is certainly the biggest issue for me. There's also some refinement to Elephant's Foot prevention, which could be interesting to look closer at in the future, and some other fixes. Is this important enough to install immediately? I am going to say yes if you print in Vase Mode. 100% yes, possibly even 200% yes. As I said at the beginning, let me know if you found this kind of video useful. It's easy enough for me to make this kind of thing, so I can do it in future for releases of Prusa Slicer and Cura, or whatever else that I don't want to spend a week making a whole episode on, including like the investigations and examples and stuff. Otherwise, I will see you next time for, I think, the next episode of the Printing Things Fast series. Thank you for watching.